I used to think meditation was just sitting quietly, doing nothing, a waste of time for people who had the luxury to relax. I was always chasing results, hustling, grinding, and believing that slowing down meant falling behind. But life has a way of teaching you the same lesson until you finally listen. I didn't know it yet, but my mind had become my own enemy. My thoughts were loud, restless, and chaotic. I couldn't focus for more than 5 minutes without reaching for my phone. My sleep was shallow, my patience thin, and even when I achieved something, I felt empty. That's when I decided to do something that felt completely unnatural to me. 30 days of daily meditation. No skipping, no excuses, no distractions. Just me, my mind, and silence. The first few days were brutal. You don't realize how much noise exists inside you until you sit in silence. I'd close my eyes and be attacked by my own thoughts. Worries, regrets, random ideas, endless what-ifs. My brain felt like a broken radio, switching channels every few seconds. I couldn't sit still. My body twitched, my mind screamed, and I kept thinking, how do people do this for hours? It wasn't peaceful. It was war. But I kept showing up. 10 minutes became 15, 15 became 20. Slowly I started noticing something strange. Between the chaos of thoughts, there were these tiny gaps, moments of stillness, moments where I wasn't thinking, I was just being. That was the first sign something inside me was changing. Neuroscientists say that meditation rewires your brain, literally. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and decision-making, becomes stronger. The amygdala, which controls fear and anxiety, becomes quieter. I didn't know all that at the time. I just knew that for the first time in years, I felt present. My mind, which used to drag me into the past and pull me into the future, started to calm down. It was like tuning a blurry radio signal. Everything started becoming clearer. By day 10, I noticed that my reactions were changing. Normally, when someone annoyed me, I'd snap. When something went wrong, I'd spiral. But now there was a pause, a space between what happened and how I responded. That space was everything. In that pause, I found control. Neuroscience calls this the strengthening of the neural pathways that regulate emotional response. I just called it peace. I began to understand something that changed how I see everything. Peace isn't something you find outside. It's something you build inside. Around the second week, my sleep improved. My focus sharpened. I could work for longer without losing energy. But the biggest change was in my self-awareness. Meditation acts like a mirror. It shows you what's really inside, not what you pretend to be, but who you are when no one's watching. And sometimes that reflection is uncomfortable. I saw how restless I was, how often I chased distractions to avoid my own thoughts. I realized that I wasn't addicted to my phone or the internet. I was addicted to escaping myself. Meditation forced me to face that truth, and it was humbling. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this video and finding value in it, please take a second to like and subscribe. It might seem small, but it truly makes a huge difference. Not just for this channel, but for helping more people transform their lives. I'm deeply grateful for your support. Thank you. Now, let's dive back in. By the third week, something deeper began to happen. My sense of time changed. Instead of rushing through the day, I started noticing the details. The sound of the wind, the rhythm of my breath, the way sunlight hit the floor in the morning. I felt connected to everything around me. It wasn't a mystical experience, it was neurological. My brain was changing its default mode. The constant chatter of self-referential thoughts, the me voice, began to fade. What replaced it was a quiet awareness, a feeling of being alive without needing to label or control anything. I was no longer the storm. I was the sky behind it. Science backs this up. MRI scans have shown that consistent meditation increases gray matter density in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for learning, memory, and emotional regulation. It also reduces activity in the default mode network, which is associated with mind wandering and overthinking. That's why meditation doesn't just calm you temporarily. It literally reshapes the architecture of your mind. It builds the mental muscle of presence, and presence is power. By day 25, I started realizing that meditation wasn't just helping me stay calm. It was sharpening my entire perception of life. I began to notice patterns, not just in my thoughts, but in my behavior. I saw how often I'd sabotage my peace for the sake of control, how I'd stress about things I couldn't change, how my mind loved to create problems that didn't exist. Meditation gave me the distance to observe all of that without judgment. That's when I understood something profound. Awareness is transformation. The moment you become aware of a pattern, it starts losing its power over you. On the final day of the challenge, I didn't feel like I had reached an end. I felt like I had opened a door. Meditation wasn't something I did anymore. It had become something I was. My thoughts still came, but they no longer ruled me. My emotions still rose, but they didn't drown me. I felt lighter, clearer, and more in control, not of the world, but of myself. And that's the ultimate power, because when you master your mind, you master your life. Here's the truth most people don't realize. The brain is plastic. It adapts to whatever you repeat. If you live in stress, your brain becomes wired for stress. If you live in chaos, your brain becomes wired for chaos. But if you practice stillness, your brain learns to find calm, even in the middle of a storm. That's neuroplasticity. You're not a prisoner of your past patterns. You're the architect of your future mind. The question is, what are you training your brain to become? After 30 days, I didn't turn into a monk. I didn't stop feeling emotions or thinking thoughts, but I did gain something far more valuable: awareness. The kind of awareness that makes you pause before reacting, that helps you see beyond the noise, that gives you control over the one thing that truly matters, your inner state. And when you have that, no one can take it away from you. Feeling stuck, distracted, or burned out, it's time to break free. I highly recommend you read The Art of Being Unstoppable. This isn't just another book. It's your blueprint for mastering your mind, controlling your emotions, and taking back your life. Inside, you'll discover the tools to build unshakable focus, unstoppable resilience, and a sense of purpose that cuts through the noise of this chaotic world. Stop just surviving. Start dominating. Step into the person you were always meant to become. The link is in the description below. Check it out and begin your transformation today. Meditation taught me that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. That the mind doesn't need to be fought with. It needs to be understood. And that peace doesn't come from having no problems. It comes from not being enslaved by them. The more I meditated, the more I realized that the world didn't change. I did. The same traffic, the same people, the same challenges, but a completely different experience. Because when your inner world changes, your outer world reflects it. Now, when I sit down to meditate, it's not a chore. It's a return to the part of me that isn't defined by stress, success, or failure, the part that just is. And from that space, everything else becomes clearer. Decisions are easier, emotions are lighter, and life feels simpler. That's the beauty of it. Meditation doesn't add anything new to your life. It removes the noise that was hiding what was already there. If you're someone who struggles to stay consistent, who thinks too much, who feels overwhelmed or restless, I get it. I was there. But you don't need to meditate for hours to feel the shift. Start with 5 minutes. Sit, breathe, and notice. That's it. It's not about stopping your thoughts. It's about seeing them without getting pulled into them. Over time, your brain learns to find balance on its own. And one day, you'll wake up realizing that the calm you were searching for has always been inside you. 30 days changed my brain. But more importantly, it changed how I relate to myself. It showed me that control doesn't come from force. It comes from awareness. That peace isn't a reward for fixing everything. It's the foundation that allows you to face anything. And that's what no one tells you. Meditation isn't about escaping the world. It's about returning to yourself, so you can move through the world with clarity, strength, and grace. So if you ever feel lost, if your mind feels loud, if your thoughts won't stop racing, just sit, breathe, be still. Not because you're trying to become someone new, but because you're remembering who you've always been underneath the noise. That's what 30 days of meditation taught me. Not how to escape my mind, but how to master it. And once you master your mind, everything else follows. Because in the end, the most powerful transformation doesn't happen in the world around you. It happens in the silence within you. And that silence, that peace, once you find it, becomes the foundation for everything great you'll ever do. If you've made it this far, drop a mind emoji in the comments. I want to see how many of you finish what you start. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay focused, and keep becoming better every single day. Remember, together we are unstoppable.